Hey, Fidelity. How can I remember to invest every month?
With the Fidelity app, you can choose a schedule and set up recurring investments in stocks and ETFs.
Oh, that sounds easier than I thought.
You got this.
Yeah, I do. Now, where did I put my keys?
You will find them where you left them.
Investing involves risk, including risk of loss. Fidelity Brokerage Services, LLC, member NYSE, SIPC.
This episode is brought to you by Shopify. Do you have a point of sale system you can trust, or is it a real POS? You need Shopify for retail. From accepting payments to managing inventory, Shopify POS has everything you need to sell in person. Go to shopify.com/system, all lowercase, to take your retail business to the next level today. That's shopify.com/system.
Hurry in to Whole Foods Market for their best of season fruit. The Sweet Summer Days sales event is on through July 30th with juicy savings on organic blueberries, organic strawberries, red cherries, and more. Like grill-ready, no antibiotics ever meats and sustainable wild-caught seafood. Explore aisles of fruity finds you can't get anywhere else, including seasonal favorites like peach Marion berry pie in the bakery. Sweeten up your summer at Whole Foods Market.
Me and my missus are watching a TV show and she's just shouting, "That's the baddie." I'm like, "What? Come on, man, don't tell me." Hello, everybody. Welcome along to the Rangers Rabble podcast. This is your post-match reaction at the newer time of an hour and a bit, maybe sometimes 2 hours after the final whistle. Joining me, right, this is going to get confusing. I'm joined by Iain, and Iain with exactly the same spelling.
I know.
So this is going to be. I think we'll go Hamish. Joined by Iain and Iain. And if Iain would like to turn the show off in the background.
Done.
There we go. So yeah, I'm joined by Iain and Iain. Hamish, welcome, my friend. How are you? This is going to be confusing, isn't it?
Hamish.
It will be, but you know, just call me whatever you want. Mrs. normally does and usually gets away with it, so just go for it. And are you sure that the Mrs. was talking about the TV show and just wasn't pointing through the glass going, "There's the baddie"?
Oh, well, I mean, I would love it if that was what she says to me, compared to what she usually says to me. And for the first time making his Rangers Rabble debut is Iain. Iain, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. Big fan of the show. Great to be on. Thanks for having me in. Looking forward to it.
I've never known anybody who's a great fan of the show. Going by some of the comments that we.
I'm saying that now, but you know.
Well, yeah, this is true. This is true. Right, so final pre-season game of the season. Final pre-season game ends 4-4 away in Berlin against Union Berlin. Iain, down the bottom. What did you make it?
Felt a lot better after that, got to say. You know what I mean? We actually, that was more a pre-season game that you're familiar with of old. Lots of goals. Defences didn't turn up. Loads of room. Proper look at the team. We competed today, which I thought was good. Arguably, we were the better side, I thought, even though either side could have won. And I thought we started really well, and then I thought they kind of scored against the run of play, which Iain mentioned in the chat group. I thought we were a wee bit unlucky with the penalty kick that went against us, albeit I still think it was a foul. Soft, especially in a friendly, to give that in a friendly is soft. But I thought the goal, Dessers' first goal from Diamonde, was a fantastic pass. Both his first touch and his second touch from Dessers was uncharacteristically good. He then put a nice little smart pass right past the keeper for his goal. But listen, I'm sure we'll go into it in more depth, but I feel a bit better after that. That and the signing of Czerny, I'm starting to feel a wee bit better.
I mean, yeah, Ian, is that a game as a supporter that you can enjoy because it is pre-season?
Yeah.
The result really doesn't matter a great deal.
No.
We'll go into obviously the defending and the midfield and the attack or whatever, but as I say, Ian, Hamish, I'll take that point to you. This is going to be so confusing.
No, I have changed my name so that you're not going to get confused in the chat there as well.
There we go.
That's what friends call me, and I think we've been here long enough. I think we can classify the Rabble as friends, so you can call me that. Acquaintances then. Yeah, I mean, from the outside looking in, a 4-4 draw. I was thinking at the end of it was like a pre-season game of old where they just turn up, bang loads of goals in, it ends a draw, everybody's happy, and away you go home. I can't say I was happy throughout. Certain players annoyed the hell out of me today, and certain players I wish I don't want to see again. One in particular who I've defended a lot over the previous, but I'm sure we'll get to him during the course of this. But overall, for a neutral, it was a brilliant game to watch because the attacking sides were up and the defences were just awful. And every now and again, you get games like that. So to end your pre-season like that, it's more of a positive than the previous ones we've had, at least.
So many, I should say, comments, Ian, on social media. I even put one up myself about the captain, Tav. I think it's easy to just come on and be absolutely negative and say he's done, he's finished, he's got to leave, he can't offer us anything anymore. But there is still, not many, but some voices out there in the old social media land, not so much defending him, but just telling everybody to calm down. A wee bit. I thought he looked as if, like everybody said, he looked like he was towing a caravan. It was almost as if when the ball was coming to him, he's having to think about what he's going to do with it, and he's slow to react, and he's losing the ball. And defensively, he was ragdolled today. But obviously, we haven't heard your opinions, your views on Tav yet, as it's your first show. So, what was your opinion on Tav today?
Do you know, I find it quite hard to criticise Tav because he's been an exceptional player for us. But in short, his race is run, I think. You know what I mean? I was trying to convince myself today was a lack of match fitness, which it probably was to an extent. But I genuinely think he'd lost a pace lost a yard 18 months ago, and it now seems like 2 or 3 yards. Against Birmingham, against Berlin today, he looked like he was really toiling, you know. And for a pre-season friendly, as much as his fitness isn't great, he shouldn't really be toiling like that, I think. But I mean, the whole debate about replacing him and, you know, ever getting a guy who, when Tav was at his best at that level, is, you know, wishful thinking. But to me, I think today it kind of stood. I mean, I'm still hoping among hope it was lack of match fitness, which I think there's an element of. But I've got to say, yeah, I think Tav's time was done maybe Christmas last year, and he's now just kind of going through the motions a wee bit, I think.
I mean, Lockeye review, I'll get to your super chat in a wee second, bud, just after we've finished this wee bit on Tav. Dougal, it doesn't feel right calling you Dougal, but I'll go with it for the purposes of this show. Dougal, yeah, there's going to be people, no matter what way you frame the argument, either for or against Tav, you don't seem to be allowed the middle ground when it comes to Tav. It has to be either one way or the other. And I've got a sneaky suspicion in your reopening segment there when you were talking about one specific player, I think you might have meant Tav.
I did mean Tav, yeah. I mean, I wasn't shy in the group chat, as Ian's already. I mean, that sounds weird to me saying that. Alluded to that. I was in the group chat saying that it was Tav every single time. It was Tav. They beat Tav down his side. They crossed it into the other side, and we equally could have expected Tav to be on the left hand side as well, with the way that some of the goals were being conceded.
Can I just play devil's advocate really quickly on that point you've just made? Does anybody else in the team get as much scrutiny when they make a mistake as James Tavernier?
It's a fair
I don't
point.
think they do.
Maybe Conor Golson, but he's gone now.
I don't think they do, but usually he gets the scrutiny because, and you go back to, it's been throughout. It's not just now. It's not just recent. You go back from 2016. That's when he came. The things have been happening. I've been listening to another show, Shock Horror, and it just going back through old seasons and all the rest of it because I like to be depressed a lot of the time and go back through the banter years and all that sort of stuff. And even back then, going from 2016 onwards, you're still getting, because I'm still here, the camera's just died. The goal came down Tav's side. Tav was beaten too easily, and that's from 2016. We're going into his 9th season with us now, and it's the same things are happening. So he comes under scrutiny a lot, but that's because we've seen these mistakes over and over and over again, and it's similar. You can't deny that what he's done for the club and captained us to a European final, he captained us to 55, that he's been in 9 years, and he's not got a lot to show for that in that 9-year period, really, particularly as captain. And he's been captain through, 4, 5 managers now. So he does get a lot of scrutiny, but I think 9 years, he's kind of done. I didn't put it in the group chat, but I would have said put Leon King in at right back before the end of that first half. I'd have had no problem with it at all. I'm going to try and sort my camera out now.
Right. On that very point, Iain, regardless of what kind of forum Tav's in, is there anybody, and the only player I can really think of is probably Sterling, although I'm not sure that that's where he will get played. Yeah. But is there anybody else in this team, if we don't make a signing, who can do a better job than James Tavernier? For me, Leon King doesn't offer you. He's not a right back for a start, so that's putting square pegs in round holes. Is there anybody else in this squad who can offer us what Tav does? And I'm just purely, and I want to make my point very clear, I am just playing devil's advocate because I am of the opinion that Tav's time has came and went. He does need to go. But if we don't make a signing in that specific area, is there anybody else in this squad who can do what he can do?
I personally, I don't think so. You know what I mean? And that's probably half the reason he's kind of hanging on with his fingernails in there. But in all honesty, is Sterling wasting it right back? Is he better a bit of steel in the middle? I don't know. He's put in some great performances, playing in the middle of the park for us. You're absolutely right. Leon King is not a right back, and that gets shown up today. He was scotched a few times with their little winger today, and get left chasing shadows, to be honest. But I think we certainly need to get into the market and look for something that resembles a right back, right wing back, whatever it may be. Do you know what I mean? Because I think we're doing Tav a disservice by keeping him in there now. Because there will be, in years to come, people look back and go, wow, look at this fullback who scored all these goals for us. And he should be remembered for that. I disagree with Iain a little bit, or Dougal a little bit, in the fact that he's been making this same mistake since 2016. He's been developed as a player with us right throughout the leagues, right? And as much as we could always criticise his defending, his forward play was unrivaled by anyone, certainly in the Scottish League for sure. Do you know what I mean? He was miles ahead. And the pros certainly outweighed the cons at that stage for sure. But I think certainly now we need to kind of act on that a bit quicker. And I got the impression from Clement's interview after the game today, he kind of said, no, Tav's not going unless he comes to ask me he wants to leave. I've got no. Now, I know to a certain extent he kind of has to play that, kind of bat that question back to the journalist. I totally get it, but in all honesty, is the manager letting him, create his own demise, or is he just going to finally say, I don't think it's you're in this position this season, Tav? I think it should be the latter.
Possibly, but let's move on for that anyway. Lockeye Review, super chat, thank you very much, my friend. I think Clement has been running them on empty in the earlier games. There was a lot more energy today. It looks like Clement has been putting the legs into them for the season. welcome aboard, Iain, which you've spelt incorrectly, Lockeye. But that's how normal people spell Iain. I agree with you. I mean,
Dougal. What's the English way? Come on, Iain will tell you.
Dougal, there's some people in the comments complaining, and I'll bring this up from Jeffrey. An offside goal, a defo, no penalty, best performance so far, and all this mental negativity. I'm just simply saying what I see. I'm not an overly negative person, but Rangers over the last few years have gave us all the ammunition to be as negative as you want. But was this then our best display in pre-season?
Yeah, I think between this one and the Ajax, I mean, I certainly didn't see all of the Ajax game, but I thought during the Ajax game in spells we looked quite good as well. The two middle ones were just awful. They looked tired, they looked leggy, they looked incapable, they looked like they weren't interested. So maybe there's a point that Lockeye is making there that maybe he has run them on empty to make sure that they're to get their fitness levels up and to try and say, right, when you're tired, you still need to put the work in. It doesn't matter how tired you are. And I think we might have seen some benefits from that today. One good pre-season performance doesn't turn it around to the worry that we've had in the previous games, to go on the other comment. It's not mental negativity. It's just we're picking out the parts that weren't good at this point. We will talk about the positives because there were positives. There were a fair few positives. Again, me and Iain, before you came in on the chat, before we started, we're saying that there were some really good displays out there today. So we will get onto the
talk about them then. Let's get into the positivity. Let's try and make this positive then. So Dougal, you can start me off then with some of your positives for the day.
I'm going to stick with the one huge positive in the middle of our park, which is Mo Diamande. Mm-hmm. I mean, that lad, he's another level above. He's the type of player we should be looking at everywhere on the pitch. They're not all going to be as easy to get hold of as he was, and I'm not saying he was relatively easy, but we've stolen a march and managed to get him. But from the first whistle, he was at it today, and he was everywhere, and he was still going in the 93rd, because I think we went 3 minutes, didn't we, injury time-wise, and he was still going and still putting himself about. Still a little bit of rawness there. You can see that. Yeah. But the ball he put through for Dessers' first goal, brilliant. His all-around play was superb today. He was everywhere. He was, for me, the best player on the park by a country mile. So there's my first positive. There are more. I'm not going to steal them all, but that was definitely my positive for today. Was definitely Diamande. And if he's going to be like that now, I can't wait for his season to go and see how good he can be.
I think him and Connor Barron, Iain, complement each other really well.
I think they do. I was just going to say that. I think we've got Barron, Diamande, Cortez, and Yefte all at a really young age. And I think the way Rangers seem to be doing things now is get the young team in, develop the young team, and then we'll have more experienced pros on loan and or whatever to win the here and now, and look for this team to develop and get stronger as the seasons go on, you know. But in all honesty, just to add to Diamande, I agree with everything you say there. He's absolutely a talent. But if you remember when he started with us last year, he started on fire. He was really good, couple of great goals. And then he kind of drifted right out of things for a while. He's only, I think, is he 22? He's 22, Diamande. It's a concentration thing with him. He can drift out of position all the time. He can tend to do that, but do you know what? That's just, you know, finite picking at it. Overall, I think Diamande, and again, even moving on, I think likes of Yefte offered a really good attacking width, but I think him and both Cortez, when they were tracking back, it was a bit of a shit show. It didn't really happen, you know what I mean? They weren't really defending that well as such, you know. And but I think going forward they look good. But again, the same way we can't, you know, die on our sword in Birmingham, we can't then take the pure positives from this game either too, because you will not get the time and space like that in a competitive game. Do you know what I mean? You just won't see the space that everyone had. It looked like the pitch was like 100 miles wide today because everybody had lots of room. And that's what pre-season friendlies used to be like all the time. It resembled something a bit more normal. Rangers were better, but and yeah, the positives we've just mentioned there, but you know, take it all with a a pinch of salt, I think.
I mean, Barry in the comments, it just shows you how much the bar has been lowered. Lose 4 goals, but it's the best performance so far. I mean, it is the best performance so far. Does that mean? I mean, the folk want us to come on and go, it was 4 each. Going forward, we looked really good. In defence, we were shite. Right, folks, see you later. Because, I mean, that would be a extremely boring show, if I'm being brutally honest with you. But, Dougal, just on Ian's point there, right, about Hefty and Cortez. Clearly, young players, very young players. Hefty looks to me as if he's more of a left winger, if I'm being brutally honest with you. He looks so good. He looked decent. I don't want to get too ahead of myself. He looked decent going forward. He's strong. He's good at running with the ball. Defensively, there's question marks. He's a young boy. And Cortez isn't that kind of player who's... He does track back, but I just don't think he's got the game intelligence when it comes to tracking back, which is why when you had a Ryan Jack, for example, sitting at the bottom of that midfield, that then covered for defensive weaknesses in the fullbacks and the wingers' games. We don't have that kind of defensive midfielder, or do we?
Right. We don't have I don't think at the moment we have a Ryan Jack type at the moment. I think he's looking... I think we're looking at... I'm just going to do it as English as possible. Joan Jordan, because that just sounds brilliant when they say it like that. That could be that player, but whether he wants to come or not is up for debate. Depends where you read. The clubs are happy with the deal going forward, but he's not, and he doesn't want to come. So if that's the case, then I don't want him here. But I think that's the type of player that does those hard yards that Jacko used to do. Again, it was one of those. If he could have stayed fit, I don't think Jacko leaves this summer. It's the fact that we've not had the return on Jacko that we were hoping. As in with Hefty and Cortez. Cortez tracked back for that first goal. He was totally ineffective. He didn't do anything, but he was running with the man, and then he got away from him and he scores. And Hefty got dragged into the middle to cover because everyone had to move over one because the aforementioned Tav. And on that side, it was all going wrong. But going forward, the two of them look like they've got a bit of an understanding and was quite exciting going forward. It is one of those, as it says, Shambolic defending in the title. So you've kind of got your positive and your negative in one there. That on that left-hand side, brilliant with the attacking display between the two of them. Quite a lot of intelligence there and being able to run off each other and create chances. Decent crosses from Hefty as well. But going back the way, it was a little bit scary. And if that's our season going forward, I might not survive the end of it.
Right, I'm going to bring this up because, and again, it's another possible negative. But people are asking. I'm struggling here, folks, between being far too positive, too negative, a little bit positive, a little bit negative. It's everybody's unhappy, and I don't know why. But however, Socrates channel member, and I'll take this to you, Ian. Nobody has mentioned that Butland did not exactly shine as a great goalkeeper in pre-season. He's looked a wee bit shaky. For me, he's still an extremely good goalkeeper. My mind doesn't get changed over a couple of, well, at least one poor pre-season game. Anything he could have done for any of the goals today?
Do you know, I saw that comment from someone else and it made me think, and I thought, well, other than pick the ball out of the net 4 times, what did he really? There wasn't really much kind of going on. It wasn't like he made some great saves or all that kind of stuff. The penalty is the penalty. The first goal went through his legs. I'm looking. Jack Butland, for me, he's got a pass. He's fine. He's proven enough that last season that he's as good as we'll ever afford, I think, in today's modern market. But yeah, I'm more worried about centre backs and Tav's position than Butland. He was probably not his best today, but to me, Butland gets a pass.
Well, Super Sal completely disagrees with you. He thinks that Butland was pish. I think that's extremely harsh.
This episode is brought to you by Shopify. Do you have a point of sale system you can trust, or is it a real POS? You need Shopify for retail. From accepting payments to managing inventory, Shopify POS has everything you need to sell in person. Go to shopify.com/system, all lowercase, to take your retail business to the next level today. That's shopify.com/system.
Yeah, he wasn't great today. I mean, the little bits that he had to do. I mean, if you go through the goals, what was he? Was he at fault at any of the goals? Tell me. I mean, as much as it was 4 each, and then when you see a 4 each scoreline, you think, right, what was the goalie up to? But I don't think. I mean, he wasn't his normal self. That's for sure. Do you know what I mean? But again, the big caveat is it's pre-season. Do you know what I mean? It's pre-season for every. You go back to the Sam Lammers looked at a world beater against Newcastle, against all that kind of thing. So you've got to take it with a pinch of salt. Jack Butland's tried and tested. He's pretty much he's probably the last person in that team that's got to prove anything right now. So, but was he poor today? Aye, he wasn't great.
He certainly wasn't pish.
No,
but maybe I've just got those Jack Butland tinted specs on. And I can't see him do any wrong.
Jack Butland's suffering from a end of season cup final mistake, and when you've got to go through the entire summer, and that was the last thing you saw, it sticks in the mind, and he's suffering from that. I think the defense fell apart, which as a goalkeeper's union, once your defense starts being shaky, it's difficult because you're the one. Either you're going to make 10, 20 great saves a game, not really going to happen. Goals are going to happen. I think he's just suffering from a defence that fell apart and a mistake at the end of the season. I see there's people in this end selling, cash in and buy players with the money. They trust Liam Kelly. But then Liam Kelly gets injured, we don't bring in another goalkeeper, and you put Budauskas in goal. Then what?
And if Liam Kelly makes one mistake, if Liam Kelly makes a mistake in an Old Firm game, then everybody's shouting and screaming about why is Butland no starting. So I think that's one of them that you just have to go with the manager. Dougal coming straight back to you then, just while we're on this negativity train. And by the way, somebody says that, we played a lot better today. We look good in midfield. We look good up front. I don't think it's a very fair title, Shambolic defending. Welcome to YouTube, folks. Welcome to the algorithm that is YouTube. If I put in the title, everything's nice, the sun is shining, nobody clicks on the video to watch. So it's a wee tiny bit of clickbait, but there you go. But yeah, Dougal sticking with the defence. We conceded 4 goals. We looked shaky at times. It almost felt as if every single time they came forward that they were going to score. People screaming and shouting from left, right and centre. We need to sign a centre-back. We need to do this. We need to do that. Is the defence in disarray? Do we need at least one centre-back through the door?
We need we're going to need a centre-back through the door because Goten, by the looks of it, is gone. I don't think Suter and Davies as a partnership works. I don't think either one of them's got confidence in each other. And I saw someone put in the comment there, and I'm sure they're going to bring it up regarding Balogun. At the moment, for me, our 236-year-old Balogun. For me, if you look at Balogun's career when he's been in both spells, he's the one, apart from one little shaky spell he had, has probably been the most consistent defender away from Helander and Goldson when he went for his purple patch. So I think it would be Goldson and one other. Goldson, he's gone. So that Balogun and one other at this point, unless we bring in somebody else. Who that somebody else is, I don't know. I know there's been rumours again regarding John's brother. We're getting Harry in again, which probably will scare a few people because surely one suit is enough. But
one of Ian's enough.
That is very true for you. It is anyway. By the way, just to comment on the name thing, normal people may spell it IAN, but staunch people spell it IAIN. But it's who?
Did you know, Ian? Do you know something? It's not a popular name anymore. Do you know how many new babies were called Ian last year?
I'm going to go with none.
Yeah, none.
I mean, as riveting as those stats are, I don't really know what stats.
we are dying off, mate. We are dying off.
With a new Gary. But anyway, I don't know who that central defender is. Who you bring in at this point? I've not seen any names linked to us really, apart from the odd occasional Harry Suter mentioned, I know we had Cordoba, but he's now down here in Norwich, which I hope he spectacularly fails while he's here. But yeah, we need a centre back that comes in. But our goals today were lost from right back and left back. So if your right back and left back aren't working, your centre backs are put under a hell of a lot of pressure, and it always makes them look worse.
I mean, Iain, I know people who have said to me from day one that they believe that Ben Davies is a extremely good centre back. They feel confident with him in the team. He's made mistakes, which centre back hasn't. John Suter, and for me anyway, and maybe again it's these blue tinted specs that I've constantly got on. I don't think he's that bad a centre back. I really don't.
You're
I think
absolutely
he's quite
correct.
solid.
Yeah. Ben Davies is a decent footballer, right? I think the problem with Ben Davies is a mental one. I think the shirt is maybe a wee bit too heavy for him at times. It's kind of what I've kind of picked up. But to be honest, we had that whole saga of he doesn't really want to be here. He's not mentally ready, all this kind of stuff. But Ben Davies needs to step up now, because now that Connor Golson's left and Tav may leave, Ben Davies and Cyriel Dessers are the top paid footballers, or among the top paid footballers at our football club now. So you've kind of got to get bang for your buck when every player, go down the list as you do with a rebuild process and kind of say, right, am I getting my money's worth from this guy? You know what I mean? So I think Ben Davies now has to step up. He must be more than settled where he is. He seems to be injury free at the minute for the longest time that he's kind of not had any kind of injury. I think I'm the same as you, Martin. I think he's a decent footballer. I really do. I just question his mentality and his bottle sometimes. That's what I think about.
But Iain, if you look at it, right, we have Davies, we have Balogun, we have Suter, and we have Inciala. That's 4 centre backs at the football club.
Inciala to a sense, because Inciala, remember, played his first professional game against Birmingham, so I discount him.
But he's going to be in the first team squad this season.
He's going to be.
You've got 4 centre backs in that first team squad. So can we then expect the manager to go and pay money for another centre back? Excuse me, and have 5 centre backs at the team when he's already mentioned that we have to sell before we buy?
Well, I think we do need cover, because the guys that we've got are essentially all cover, if that makes sense. Do you know what I mean? So you've got, Suter, loves an injury, great player on his day. When we first signed Suter, I thought, future Rangers captain, this guy gets it. I saw a kind of Alan McLaren type style, even coming from Hearts, kind of player that I thought, he absolutely gets it. But I don't think his body gets it, unfortunately. And I think invariably he'll be on and off the treatment table as time goes on. But so in essence, could Balogun, at the age he's at, foreseeably do a full season? The balance of probability, you'd say no. You know what I mean? He's likely to pick up an injury at his age. He did have one long-term injury with us. Actually, it was after he played against Celtic. He played fullback, then he went off with a knee injury for about six weeks. But in all honesty, I think we do need some sort of cover again to cover the cover that's at our centre back position. Do you know what I mean? It's just kind of mad. You know what I mean? So and listen, who's out there? Who's out there that we can afford? Hence the reason Balogun's still here. You know what I mean? Balogun's, the guy said, 238, and he's our best centre half. You know what I mean? And I think when Golson's gone properly, we'll realise this guy who played 4 seasons and missed 6 matches was phenomenal for us for a while. Unfortunately, the underlying story with likes of Golson and Tav, they'll be remembered for not winning enough. That team should have won more. It didn't. You know what I mean? But the point is, I think we'll be doing well to replace a Golson that is best Golson, I think.
Yeah, I mean, you might actually be right there. But as one of the other commenters said as well, Leon King kind of makes it 5 centre back. Although I do think the manager sees him more in a defensive mid type of position going forward. But we need to wait and see what happens to that. Dougal, let's switch it to a bit more positive talk. From today, we mentioned Mo Diomande. Let's talk Connor Barron, who young guy, plenty of experience at Aberdeen at playing first team football, and he seems to be slotting into that Rangers team quite nicely.
He does. I've been impressed every time I've seen him so far up through pre-season. Again, it's pre-season, so you have to go with what you can see. Only time will tell as the season goes on. But from what I've seen so far, there's been bits. If you watch him in games, you just watch the areas where he is. And I saw it again today. There was a couple of times where a centre back goes up for maybe a free kick, a corner, or whatever, and Barron automatically just slots into that centre back position and stands there, covers. Mo Diamande goes forward. Barron sits back, covers. He knows what he's doing. He knows his role, and he does it very well. And another one who still, from the minute one till the last minute, never stopped. There's an engine in that middle. Speak properly. There's an engine in the middle of the park.
I don't know what's happening.
I know. It's the sun down here. It's pale ginger people in the sun don't go together. But there's an engine in the middle of our pitch now, which looks good. And we've got a team that seems to be building in that centre of the pitch as well, which again looks good. Those two young guys, though, do need an anchor, which today Lawrence did provide very well. I don't know if I trust Lawrence a full season, but
we'll come
that little try, those three for me, and that it looked good and it worked today. I do like Barron, and again, if like Diamande, this is his pre-season and he's looked good. I really cannot wait to see how his season progresses because I think he could be absolutely huge for us.
Can I just say this is the main point for me, Iain, from Dell. I'm liking Barron's mentality and work rate heading to be a decent player for us. His mentality for me, Iain, is the biggest thing. He doesn't appear to be scared of anything.
Brilliant. 100% correct. That comment there. What I liked about him against Birmingham was he wasn't scared to get right up in your face. Do you know what I mean? He was a proper, kind of saying, look, we're Rangers. This is what it's about. I'm going to let you know that I'm here. And that's great. If that's the boy's attitude, then he'll go far at Rangers. You know what I mean? Because we've lacked a bit of that. And I think...
What kind of midfielder, Iain, would you say Conor
Do you know
Barron?
what? It's funny. I was just about to mention that. I think, is Barron a kind of natural replacement for Ryan Jack, who sits in front of the back two?
Box to box, advanced.
Was Ryan Jack box to box at the end? Not really, but it's just kind of. It was. I wasn't as big a fan as Ryan Jack as many people were, but I think.
He's not a defensive midfielder, though, is he?
Well, I mean, we don't know. We don't know what we don't know yet. I guess. You know what I mean? He certainly seems that he's not shy of a tackle. He's certainly not shy in chasing back these attacking midfielders in the front of our box. I think Clement will have a big say in how Conor Barron turns out as a player. But if his attitude is as such, it reminded me of that kind of old style Scottish Rangers player that you get when they were young, a young Derek Ferguson. They were just like in your face and just kind of, you know what I mean? Just, they let you know you're here. You're not going to have an easy time when you're playing against the boy. You know what I mean? That's kind of, and by the way, we lack that in the modern game. Never mind at Rangers. Do you know what I mean? So I hope the earliest signs, the early indications are that that he'll go on and do something good with us. The early signs, but I don't think we should talk him up too much because his tribunal fee hasn't been decided at the moment. You know what I mean? So no, he was shite today.
well, do you know what? See if I'm trying to put my extreme positive head on, see if we somehow manage to go to Motherwell and pick up that boy Lennon Miller, and we get a midfield free, a Diamande, Barron, and Lennon Miller with Bailey Rice waiting in the wings to come through. Yeah. That's a midfield for the next 5-10 years at the football club, and I think that would be an absolutely cracking midfield. But we won't go and get Lennon Miller. That's just pie in the sky thinking. But Dougal, what? Fine then. Is Conor Barron going to be box to box? Is Conor Barron going to be a defensive midfielder? Is he just going to be a workhorse in the centre of the park? What is Conor Barron?
Take everything you just said, box it up, put a ribbon on it, and you've got Conor Barron. I think he can do all of it. And it's dependent on what, obviously, Clement wants to do. I think you might see a change in the way Barron plays game to game. Certain games he will be that, right, you need to sit, let everyone else do the work, go forward. Other games will be box to box. I'd imagine Old Firm games, he's going to be that box to box midfielder, but also has to sit in. I think he has the potential anyway to be able to do everything that you've just said. So I don't think we're going to get a clear-cut answer. I think as the season goes on, I think we might get that. Just exciting as hell to watch it go. We've been asking for someone in the midfield to do what he's doing. We have now got that, but it's now whether he can actually, with the shirt on, we all know that shirt can be a weight, particularly if you have a couple of bad games in a row. With our support, the patience goes straight out the window. But if he keeps going like he's doing, I think he could be potentially one of our better players. And for the trading model, can't go wrong with that.
No, yeah, absolutely cannot. Right, okay. Tom Lawrence. Ian, I'll come to you. This is where doing these shows can get frustrating and confusing and challenging, right? Tom Lawrence in spells today was excellent. He took his goal really well. If that's a competitive game, that's changing the course of a game. He's got some lovely. He's got a lovely first touch. You can spread passes about. But after every single run he done, he was blowing at his arse. I don't know if that's just naturally the way he is, because he didn't stop. It's not like he stopped running at any point. But he seems an enigma for me, Ian, and I can't quite put my finger on why.
Yeah. I agree with all of that. Do you know what I mean? I was just speaking to Ian about this before we went live, and Tom Lawrence, we know he's got ability. We know he's got a goal in him. We know he's got a really good shot on him. But what he doesn't have is 90 minutes in him. Right? This is the problem. He can't get a full 90 minutes from Tom Lawrence. So certainly not one that I can remember. Now, who's that down? Is that down to Tom Lawrence? Is it the type of player he is? He's just not particularly fit enough to be 90 minutes at this level. Is that because of the legacy of injuries he's had? It's probably a bit of everything. But I mean, is he good enough to play? Can you rely on putting Tom Lawrence in that 10 position where Cantwell used to be, or where many better players than Tom Lawrence have been in the past? I'm not sure. I'm kind of thinking that, that today suited Tom Lawrence. There was time and space, and it was a game for attacking midfielders. Yeah, I think that suited it. I think in the heat of the battle and a competitive match, it might be a different story for Tom Lawrence. I hope I'm wrong, but is he worth hanging on to?
I mean, he can certainly do a job. I'm not sitting here saying I'm not sitting here saying, look, oh no, Tom Lawrence isn't good enough for this Rangers squad going forward. I just can't put my finger on why I'm not more in the Tom Lawrence camp. I just can't put my finger on it.
Yeah. I just mirror that. I just quite... sometimes it looks like his attitude's not quite there as well. And maybe I'm nitpicking here. I don't know, but we know he's got the ability. We've seen him do it time and time again. But I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced he can do it regularly enough for Rangers. You know what I mean? And that's, I would love to be proved wrong on that. I'd love to be proved wrong, but I'm not convinced he can perform it week in, week out. And I definitely know he can't do it for the full duration of 90 minutes. At the moment, maybe he will as he gets fitter, but I don't think any of us have seen a fit Tom Lawrence yet.
Yeah, I'll probably go along with that as well. Dougal, tell us we're wrong.
Hi, and welcome to Ikea. How can I help?
Oh, my schedule is crazy. I just want some me time.
Maybe it's time to embrace the joy of staying in. With comfortable beds, pillow and decor, mood lighting, and so much more, you can turn your bedroom into the place to be.
Oh, sounds like a dream.
We've got you. Visit us in-store or at ikea-usa.com/sleep to create your dream bedroom today.
Nearly spoke without getting rid of the mute. You're not wrong. Like I said, we talked about it just before we came on, that there's other parts of it. We know that Clement has said that players in our squad have been not that fit due to previous pre-seasons. Maybe he's suffering from something like that. I mean, his first few games for us when he came in looked extremely positive. That was the Tom Lawrence that I'd seen playing at Derby and whatnot, and I was excited. a particularly bad injury that initially when we saw it didn't look as if it was that bad, which ended up ending his season essentially. And then when he's come back, he's looked a bit leggy, a bit unfit. As someone did say, he does look a lot slimmer this season than he did last season.
He's only 30.
I know, he's only 30. And I mean, we all sit here saying he hasn't got the legs for it. None of us could take his place. But I don't think, long term, I don't think he is the number 10 solution. He can fit there, not a problem. But the start of our season is going to be extremely busy, and can we count on him to be there for every single one of those games? I don't think so. No player's playing 100% of the games unless you're Connor Goldson, and he's not here anymore. So and he's not. Well, Butland probably will, but
Butland, yeah, maybe. But rotation is going to be key. So can Tom Lawrence not come in and do a job in games if he's rotated and looked after properly? Surely,
I think so. I think he can. I think he is. I'm still here. That camera's
he's more reliable than your camera.
Very much so. This one's got to go. It's got to be replayed. Mind you, it's 2 years in the doing. That's not too bad. It's had a good life. I'll just move this out of the way. No, that's not worked either. Okay.
Still have a chat with yourself in the background there.
I think he can offer us something throughout the season, but we are going to need to get somebody else in to fit that position, because obviously the other number 10 has already told us he wants to go. So we are going to have to look to fill that void and have someone where we can rotate Lawrence out. But I still think there's a job he can do, but I just don't think we can rely. I think he's unreliable on the injury front, but not on his own fault. I think he's had a bad injury, and that's just something that might just niggle as he keeps going through.
The biggest positive of the day, Ian, the biggest reason to get excited about this game was one Cyriel Dessers. I was slightly surprised that Danilo didn't get a wee bit more game time than what he got. I was surprised that was at the 80th minute or something Danilo came on. But Cyriel Dessers, when he's in that kind of form, what a player.
Do you know what? You're absolutely right. He played, I think it was Marcus. Does Marcus coach football teams, incidentally? I thought he did, because it was absolutely bob on with his assessment in Cyriel Dessers the other week, or the other night there, I think on Wednesday. He said Cyriel Dessers is your second striker. And he's right with that, because he's the guy that comes on when your number 9 scored a couple of goals, picked up a knock, or ran the opposition centre-backs ragged. But he started today like he was a first striker. And again, we've got to put the caveat around it. It was a pre-season friendly. Let's not remember what we got frustrated about last year. But you cannot ignore 22 goals and 7 assists. Can't ignore that. He did that last year. As much as he drives us all crazy, and I've got to say, I'm not a Cyriel Dessers fan, but Marcus got it bob on when he said, Cyriel Dessers is your second striker. That's exactly what he is. And if you're the opposition centre half and you start with Cyriel Dessers against you, you're thinking, well, I'm okay to keep him on my shoulder because I'm pretty confident I'll beat him in a foot race back to the keeper should any ball get put through. And I'm also pretty confident I can step my defence out a step because he likes to play on the shoulder and we'll catch him offside, which is what happens all the time. You know what I mean? So that's the biggest frustration with Dessers. But today he played like a proper number 9, as in a first number 9. So I'm starting to doubt that I know anything about football now, because Cyriel Dessers is the type of guy that literally, he defies the stats, he defies absolutely everything. Getting to the point where I think just keep him, because he just scores goals. He scores goals.
He really does. And look, don't think I'm sitting here going, well, Cyriel Dessers is going to be our new number 9. Playing every game, and he's going to bang in loads and loads of goals. As FX Heroes is saying, like, Dessers turns up 1 game out of 5 is probably slightly harsh. But anyway, so he can't be relied on going forward. Give him 15 minutes if we're out of ideas with Danilo.
And can I just add, Martin? Who do we get? Now, number 9s are already rearing the ground. So there's that, right? Okay, so the Euros was a great example of where's the centre forwards going, right? And so not only are number 9s rearing the ground, number 9s that we can afford are almost non-existent, right? So who do we get? Now, is Lawrence Shankland likely to come in and be as good as, if not better than Dessers? Maybe, because he knows the Scottish game, he's got a proven track record, he's a Rangers fan, he wants to be there. But I can't really think of anyone else that we could afford.
But again, as supporters, it's not up to us to think of who's available out there. That's up to your scouts and your director of football. Because there's other teams in Scottish football who have went out and identified. Look, when people say, watching the Euros or you're watching the Premier League and number 9s are thinning the ground, they're not thinning the ground for the Scottish League. They're definitely not thinning the ground for it. You're trying to tell me that we can't go to Japan and pick up somebody who nobody's ever heard of, and then he comes over here and starts banging in goals left, right, and centre.
No, I meant
if your scouting department is working, then you will find the players that you need.
I meant thinning the ground in the fact that the game's changed, right?
No,
Chris Boyd couldn't exist today, if you know what I mean. He just couldn't stand with his hands on his hips in the penalties in the 18-yard box. Not that he did all that all the time. He did that a lot of the time, but it's just that type of player doesn't exist anymore. Do you know what I mean? No. So they're literally, and I think that was a problem. See, Cantwell, incidentally, he found it hard because Dessers isn't good at that role. Dessers is good at pressing the defenders when they're playing out from the back. Brilliant. He'll chase them all day. But he doesn't know how to do that clever wee run when you're number 10 sitting there, and that'll frustrate the life out of you. You know? Yeah. So he slows down what could be described as, Rangers in the ascendancy. He can put paid to that. So since I'm saying, the more I thought about it, Marcus nailed it. He's second number 9 all day long, I think.
Right, well, let's hear from the manager who spoke to Rangers TV shortly after the full-time whistle. Let's hear what he had to say.
Philippe, a 4-4 draw to round off pre-season here this afternoon. What did you make of that game and the challenge for your side today?
That there were a lot of good things in this game. That we get some strange goal against, like the penalty was not a penalty. And one offside goal, but and we need to do defensively things better. But that's normal with new players coming in who are that young, so they will learn a lot out of this. And also good for players coming out of injury, that they could have game time, and you see the team grow week by week, and that's what we aim for. That's what we work hard for with all the squads, to make them better every week again. So we're step by step going towards our goals.
In terms of the goals scored today, some really well worked team goals too. That must be pleasing for you.
Yeah, very much, and really team goals, like you say, with good combination play and good finishing. So no, it's really important, and other really good actions also, where the goalkeeper saved a few good balls. So it was the game that I expected, but okay, you always need to wait how the game goes against a good opponent, because for example they won last week against Kiev also. So interesting, and now working hard towards our first competition game. That's now the target.
Yeah, for the likes of Tom Law and Cyriel Dessers getting those goals today too, how important can that be for their confidence heading into the season to be able to get that and have that impact today?
No, it's important to have offensive players who have stats. With Sima, we lost somebody who had a lot of stats last season, so we need to see with other players to make up for that. And it's important in this number 10 role that you have somebody who's in the right positions and make the right runs. And then you, in the way we play football, you always get the chances to score. And Tom did that role brilliantly today. So really pleased about the way he played, not only with the ball, but also without the ball.
Obviously, it's the last game of pre-season. At the end of the pre-season campaign, action returns next week. How do you reflect on the past few weeks and what you've been able to achieve with the players in this time?
That with the players who are in the building, we're taking the right steps, and we cannot do miracles. We knew with Danilo, with Oscar Cortes, if you come from that far away, that they cannot be top now. So they're on the right track. They're making the good progression. We had a few other smaller things, like Tav missed also more than 1 week of training and games. So you saw that also, that in moments it was not sharp enough. So we need to continue in that way to make them stronger as fast as possible, and then with a few other signings to make the squad better and stronger in depth and in quality.
Dougal, we're on the right track. There's been so much negativity throughout this full pre-season. right? And that again, that comes from how last season ended. Fans were still upset, pissed off, angry, etc., etc., etc. But normally, when a manager's kind of talking, you hear them talking, and you go, "I don't fully believe that you believe what you're saying." But I do think Clement does feel that.
He does believe that, and he's a good enough manager. I think he's proven that he's a good enough manager with us. That he got a tune out of those players last season that brought us back into a title race, that won us a trophy. So I think when he says it, he believes it, and I'm going to go right with him because I'm going to back Clement because I think I've seen enough from what he's done to say that he's a decent manager. So I believe what he says as well. So yes, there's been moments during this preseason where I've been worried. The Manchester United, particularly second half when we were playing against kids and we couldn't get anywhere near them. The Birmingham game had me seriously worried. That was just awful from start to finish. But today you can see some things where obviously he's put people together who've got an understanding. You can see things that are going forward that potentially could spark us into life, and we could have a better season than we've anticipated going through this pre-season. Only time will tell, but I'd say I'm not one of these that's turned on the manager because the team let him down last season. Plus, everywhere he wanted to play, because I think he's definitely a wide. He wants to play with wingers, and every winger we had last season ended up injured. So we were having to shoehorn people in. You had Sterling playing on right wing, you had Silva playing at left wing. So I think he has a way he wants to play. He's just not been able to do it fully. I still back him until he gives me reason not to. So, yeah, I believe what he's saying. Same as he does.
Was this probably the game, well, for me anyway, where we actually seen a clearer picture of what his philosophy is and what he wants to do?
Yes, I think we did, because a lot of people have been quite rightly saying, well, okay, I get it, we think, although I think my thing is just gone there. Yeah. Can you hear me still? Yeah. I think a lot of people I've rightly been saying, well, what is Clement's style? What type of style is he supposed to be playing here? And I think today we got an idea for the first time of what the shape and what kind of system the team should be playing, albeit as close to the first 11 as it can get without other new signings come in. I listened to the extended version of that interview, and he mentioned again that he's certainly got 3 or 4 new faces to come. He said it could be 5 minutes, it could be 5 weeks, So I think, in all honesty, I agree with Iain. We've got to back the manager. We've got to let him put his philosophy into the club. And only the truth is, nothing's certain. Do you know what I mean? We don't know if his philosophy will work as such. We don't know what we don't know. But yeah, the initial impressions we got of Clement was he took a team that was failing under Beale and he got a really good reaction out of them. Albeit the counter argument to that is, but they failed when it mattered at the business end of the season. Yeah. So it's a difficult one, but as someone else mentioned as well, we can't keep replacing managers and saying, "Oh, it's his fault, it's his fault, it's his fault." I think we need to back Clement, and I was particularly, I don't want to change subject, but the only thing I was annoyed about Clement, I think it was 2 Mondays ago, came out and said, "Goalposts have been kind of changed on me somewhat, and this is now my strategy. It's not coming to me as freely as I thought it would." The board have kind of outlined that to me. That the fact that Rangers board let Clement come out and say that is testimony to how quiet the board have been about any future plans for Rangers. Leaving the manager out there to kind of say, "Oh, by the way, this is what's happening now," wasn't on. But I think, yeah, all things. Did we see a bit of a style today that Clement wants to play? Yeah. Will it hopefully get better and a bit more clearer? Definitely.
Yeah, I 100% agree. Right, folks, listen, thank you very much for tuning in. It has been a slightly more positive, although for some people too positive, post-match reaction. We shall wait and see what the first league fixture of the season brings us. If you enjoy the show, if you like the content, then if you're watching on YouTube, please do give us a like and subscribe to the channel. We're about 500 away now from 11,000 subscribers. So if you enjoy the content, then please do that. You can join as a member as well. Use the button below the window, or if you're watching on your phone, it's in the description. This is the worst advertising I've ever done, by the way. The link for which is in the description. And can I just also say a big, massive thank you to Timothy Sharp and to Kevin Wilson, who are our latest Rabble CEO members. CEO members have the chance to appear on shows and help us make decisions and have a far bigger say in how the Rangers Rabble is run. So thank you very much to those guys. And thank you to all of our members who help support the channel. It's greatly, greatly appreciated. We will be back Monday night for your Monday Night Rabble. My thanks to Dougal/Iain. Dougal, thank you.
No problem, mate. Nearly.
Oh, you really did it. You really did it.
Nearly. No problem, mate. Happy to be here as always. And as long as people want to see my face on the screen, as long as my camera will let my face be seen on the screen, I'll be here.
I think your camera's probably trying to tell you something. To be honest, I think the camera's right, but that's no point. Iain, maiden show, mate. You've done brilliant.
Cheers. Really enjoyed it, guys. Thanks for having me on.
And a massive thank you to everybody watching. All the links for socials are in the description for Twitter, X, and all that good stuff. So make sure you get that done as people start coming in tomorrow. So thank you, everybody, for watching, and we'll speak to you all very, very soon.
Podcast Network.
Okay, round 2. Name something that's not boring.
A laundry? Ooh, a book club. Computer solitaire, huh?
Ah, sorry, we were looking for Chumba Casino. That's right, ChumbaCasino.com has over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+ terms and conditions apply. See website for details.